And everybody storms, and it's really funny because they're storming in with these notes, and Carlotta's like pointing at Rahl. Now I'm pronouncing it like Christine.
Yeah, I know. Emmy Rossum got to us. Rahl.
Rahl. She's like pointing at Rahl. She's like, you wrote this note, and Rahl is this like I hate to use the term. He's like the soy boy. You know what I mean? Like, it's really floppy.
Yes, finally, the podcast takes the right wing turn we always knew it would. Welcome to Mortified, the Friendship Quest, a podcast where two long-distance friends bounce media recommendations, all in hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Lot 666, the Chandelier!
And this week, we activate full Theater Kid mode and watch both The Phantom of the Opera and Love Never Dies. Before we bring a chandelier down on a crowd of unsuspecting Parisians, remember you can help us on Mortified the Legitimacy Quest by subscribing to us on YouTube, iTunes, or Spotify, signing up for our monthly newsletter through the link in our show notes, or following us on Twitter and Tumblr at MortifiedPod.
So, an addendum about our newsletter, by the way, is that it's revamped. So now, what we have is a second chance take theater, basically. And sometimes when Aaron and I hit stop record, we're like, dang, we missed a point. Like one time we didn't talk about Goofy dying. We wish we did. So, if you sign up for our newsletter, which comes out at the beginning of every month, you will now get a bonus take from each of us, including also our 3 monthly recommendations that we don't talk about on this podcast. So please go to the link in our show notes and sign up for our newsletter.
Yep, this month, Leyla talked about Natalie Portman getting a fucking crop top in episode 2 of Star Wars, and I talked about some critical response to Undertale, so it's a really good one. Definitely check that out. Long-time listeners will understand why we are so excited today. However, if you listen to one of our very early episodes of Mortified, we briefly touch on one of the subjects of today's podcast, and we just have a full 15-minute rant about it. If you liked that, you're gonna have a good time today. I know the conceit of Mortified is that we recommend things that at least one of us has not seen before, generally, or we try something new. This time we're talking about a thing that we've both seen and have very strong feelings about, which is, of course, the famous Andrew Lloyd Webber musical, The Phantom of the Opera, and its notorious sequel, Love Never Dies. And, Leyla, just how are you feeling?
Why did we do this?
The lie answer is that the anniversary of the, I think, Melbourne production of Love Never Dies is this year. I think it's in September. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah. But the real answer is like, I just have so much fun talking about musical theater, especially with you. So I thought it would be really fun just to really dig deep into our Andrew Lloyd Webber pathologies.
Yeah, hey, y'all have probably already noticed this. We're willing to bet that this is a long one. We talked about this yesterday. This is probably going to run over our beautiful little general time of 45 minutes to an hour. If you can make it through this episode and still love us at the end, you're saddled with us for life.
God bless you. You're about to hear some heinous shit, I think. So Leyla, we're just going to start with the plot summaries of both of these musicals, I think, and then go into the characters and get a little bit more deep into their backstories and motivations. How would you sum up the plot of The Phantom of the Opera?
The Phantom of the Opera is a long-running musical based on a French novel that is about a ballet dancer who becomes the prima donna of an opera because she is the beneficiary of someone she refers to as the Angel of Music, who in fact turns out to be the murderous Phantom of the Opera, who is a man who lives in the sewers and has just an incomparable fucking budget for props and practicals. He is a well-known factor of this opera, the Opera Populaire in Paris, and the 2004 Gerard Butler centric film version of this that we watched does posit that listen, shit just goes sideways. This movie is insane. I'm really trying to parse my knowledge of Phantom of the Opera and bring it up against the movie that we watched. But basically what you need to know is a ghost man tries to groom a teenage prima donna and has questionably magic powers.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. It's a good time. A lot of weird stuff happens. There's a a handsome count. Is Rahl a count?
The Viscount. He's a
Viscount. Yes. Okay. He is the person who woos this dancer whose name is Christine. Eventually, they get together despite the Phantom's best efforts, and at the end, the Phantom nearly kills them both, but he lets them go, and it's because Christine, says that she will try to love him, and it has a happy ending. And that went great. The Phantom of the Opera is, to this day, the longest running musical on Broadway. It is, the epicenter of Andrew Lloyd Webber's storied career.
Yeah. And I think the thing that appeals to people about the Phantom of the Opera is that it does not shy away from like melodrama. Like, it is a very melodramatic piece of work, right? And there's even like kind of a cheeky little nod to that fact. And there's a piece of dialogue where the two new owners of the theater, which that's part of the conflict, is there's a theater owner who acknowledges the Phantom and meets all of his demands, which is box 5 must be kept empty, and he has a crazy salary, monthly salary that he gets for, again, I think props and practicals. And when the theater changes ownership to the two new owners, they think this is a joke and refuse to meet his demands, which makes the Phantom get very violent very quickly. But there is like a cheeky nod that they make, which is like, half of the stories that are happening here, nobody would believe in real life, but you give it to an audience and they'll pay to see it for hours, So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of moments of like, Christine is the daughter of this Swiss violinist, or Swiss or Swedish? Swedish. She's the daughter of this Swedish violinist, and she thinks that it's his spirit guiding her and teaching her how to sing. And she unabashedly tells people about this. Everyone's like, Christine, who is your tutor? And she's like, the ghost in the walls.
He comes out of my mirror and he like gives me voice lessons. It's really cool. Do you want to meet him sometime?
It's the angel of music, guide and guardian.
Yeah. And everyone's like, hey, Christine, you should see a fucking doctor.
Well, Meg is like, you should see a fucking doctor. Yeah. Rahl just gaslights her. I'm sorry. Rahl.
Rahl
gaslights her. So yeah, but then the Phantom is kind of, it is implied he is her father's age because, not implied, he is her father's age because Madame Jiri saved him when they were the same age. And Madame Jiri...
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, and Madame Jiri, Meg's mom, Meg is the same age as Christine. So,
which is to say 16 years old.
Yeah, 16-year-old dancers. And so Phantom does have moments, or sorry, his name is Eric. And out of disrespect for him, I will be referring to him as Eric. Eric does call her a child several times and like refer to himself as like a father figure, but also wants to marry her. It is an insane relationship, and unfortunately, like, he is a dangerous man. Like, he kills people, and Rahl is like, he's not real, baby. Stop gaslighting your girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, like, Rahl was in the audience when the Phantom dropped a man like hanging from a noose in the middle of the second act. Like, I don't know why Rahl is so anti-Phantom until like he literally has a sword fight with him in a graveyard. But yeah. I think Rahl is stupid. But like, I don't think he's evil in Phantom of the Opera.
No.
And we'll, in the sequel that does get changed.
Well, so do you want to tell us a little bit about the sequel?
So the sequel, which originally aired, came out on the London West End in 2010, is called Love Never Dies. It takes the story of Phantom of the Opera, but takes a lot of its main characters and sets them in like a Coney Island amusement park in, I want to say 1915. in America. And basically, it's just like, okay, so the Phantom escapes after he burns down the theater. What if he went to America, became a rich benefactor or businessman with the help of Meg and Madame Jiri, and was also super obsessed with Christine for the past 10 years, and then asked her to come and hang out with him secretly. He basically invites her and Rahl and their child, Gustav, to his amusement park to sing for one night in order to help wipe away Rahl's gambling debts, because Rahl's character is changed to be an alcoholic and a gambler, and it is heavily implied that he is abusive to Christine, which we'll talk about those character choices. But yeah, basically that story goes through the conflicts, and the thing that is going to come up is that basically it talks about how Christine actually has been in love with the Phantom the whole time, never truly loved Rahl, and he basically proposes that Christine should, if Christine sings at this amusement park opening, then he makes a bet with Rahl that if she does, Rahl will have to leave her, and Rahl takes that bet. He loses that bet, and then Meg Jiri, who is supposed to be, the opening act until Christine showed up, gets like furious and upset because she'd worked so hard to help the Phantom build his fortune that she kidnaps their son, Gustav, threatens to throw him off a pier. But in the end, they all talk her down. The Phantom makes a tiny slip up, and Meg shoots Christine on accident. And that's how that musical ends, with Christine dead and the Phantom and Rahl and Gustav all very sad. Great way to handle your legacy, Andrew. Just take all of that goodwill that's built up over the last 20, 30 years and flush it down the toilet. But we'll talk about those choices in a bit.
Yeah. I think it's a pretty good summary of Love Never Dies. I will make one point, which is that the Phantom does not invite Christine overseas. A guy named Hammerstein does, and then the Phantom outbids him.
Yes, that's correct. I'm sorry.
So the Phantom did not have any contact with Christine. He does have a very big portrait of her that he plays piano underneath.
It's really good.
Yeah, which, I mean, again, does not shy away from the melodrama. I will say, needed more melodrama.
Yes, let's hold off on our L&D reaming until minute 30 of this podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you end up watching the 2011 Melbourne edition of Love Never Dies? Okay, perfect. Yes. So we're working from the same reference point.
We are working from the just listeners, beautiful questers, I guess. Let me tell you, I was expecting that we were going to watch the 25th anniversary staged performance of Phantom of the Opera on Netflix, but no, we watched the 2004 movie. So yes, we are both working from the same reference point. But let me tell you, finding out we were watching the Gerard Butler one did throw me for a bit of a loop. So this is... We are working from some angles today.
Yeah, it's a strange combination, but that's kind of what this program is for. I mean, to clarify why I wanted to watch the '04 version, that's the first version that I ever saw of Phantom. It was my wife Sierra's favorite, musical, and she watched that DVD constantly. So when we first started dating, she was like, "Okay, I want to show you my most favorite thing," and we watched it, and that's how I was like, "Oh, this is kind of good." And I'll say it straight up, Phantom of the Opera is still my favorite musical. And we'll have a conversation about whether or not that's earned. But I'm ready to throw down. I really, really like it. But yeah, shall we dig a little bit further into the characters, before we hit our many, many talking points?
I think we should dig into the characters, starting with our girl, our plot point, our plot device, Christine Daae.
Christine Daae is... I have such mixed feelings about Christine because, she is ultimately the, focal point of a love triangle, right, between Rahl and the Phantom, Eric. she is fought over, she is obsessed over, she is, for all intents and purposes, an object, except for the fact that I feel like because of this love triangle, she has a little bit more agency. Not necessarily a whole lot. A lot of that agency is spent going to secret shrines in the bottom of the opera house and, praying to her father's ghost, or going to her father's grave and, talking about how sad she is. But I do think, she does have a little bit of choice, right? She does, in the first movie, choose to be with Eric, and then, not Eric, with Rahl. In the second movie, choose to be with Eric. And then, she makes the choice to sing for the Phantom. She makes the choice to... She's heavily pressured in the first in Phantom, but she does agree to Raoul's plan to act as bait to lure the Phantom out. But, I do wish that she was given more, unfortunately, right? She is not as much of an actor as I would like, but I think that also just the character of Christine Daae is dear to me because of just the great songs that she sings. I feel very emotionally connected to the songs that Christine sings, and they're really important to me. So, like, despite all the flaws that, this character has, I still like her quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of Christine is to be endearing. She is supposed to be this, like, innocent lamb, I guess, for the first half of the musical. And then by the end, she's, like, this temptress, I guess. But yeah, I mean, that's the problem with Christine is she's not given a whole lot of choice. And the way Phantom of the Opera is framed is it makes it seem like Eric has like a hypnotic hold over her almost a lot of the time. Like she kind of loses spatial and sensory awareness when she's around him.
It's very vampire-y in that sense, right? Like he has almost a glamour upon Christine.
Yes. And yeah, she's not really... It's almost strange to call it a love triangle because it is clear as soon as the first murder happens, honestly, even before then, when she understands that, like, the Phantom is not the, like, paternal spirit that she thought he was, but is instead, like, a real man obsessed with her that lives in a sewer. He is no longer a romantic option for her in the context of the Phantom of the Opera, the original work based on a novel. Like, he's very much supposed to be this thing that has been corrupted by a lack of compassion, right? And Christine is compassion.
And even in the musical, right, we get how afraid she is of him. Yes. She constantly is talking about how afraid she is, and she's like, he is going to kill all of us. Rahl, do something. But like, yeah, I like that read quite a lot because it's very much like, yeah, she is the embodiment of all the things that the Phantom never got because of his facial deformity. We probably should have mentioned that. If you don't know anything about the Phantom of the Opera, I want to say right side of his face has is described as in the novels as like having his eyes like sunken in, and like it looks like his face is a skull on the right side. In the '04 movie, it just looks like he has like a pretty bad bout of psoriasis. Which, yeah, like,
some lotion and some therapy would clear him right up, but instead he does some murders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, speaking of, let's talk about Eric as the Phantom. So the background of this is that he was part of a freak show. And
specifically by Romani people, which sucks. In the movie, right? The '04 movie says, oh, it was, slurs that came and, they came into town with their circus, which sucks. But the Gaston Leroux didn't say that. In the original Phantom's from fucking Normandy, I believe. So, like, it's a lot. So that part sucks, and the movie deserves to be reamed for that. But yeah, I mean,
he was framed as what, the Devil's Child, right? Because of his facial deformity.
Devil's Child, yeah. Which, again, pretty ableist and gross.
Yeah, pretty icky. But you do find out that that's where the there's like a monkey music box from the opening that is lot 665 at the auction flash forward opening from both the movie and the musical. There's it opens with an auction. And speaking of melodrama, like that's a moment when that chandelier gets wheeled out, and the way that the quote unquote like present tense of the story gets revealed is when the chandelier gets auctioned because it had fallen and is broken. It rises up to this like organ theme, that infamous theme of the Phantom of the Opera. It is the most like intense, bombastic moment. It is so fun and so engaging. But before that, Lot 665 is this monkey music box, and like you find out that's relevant because it's like Eric's music box that he's had since he was a child. But so he strangles the man who's like running his portion of the show to escape. Madame Jiri, who was his age and child also at that time, rescues him, takes him to the basement of the opera. The funniest part about that scene for me in the movie is that the mob with the torches gathers so fucking quickly. Were they just waiting for a murder?
Listen, it's Paris. I think Parisians are always ready for a good riot. I think they have those pitchforks like on hand.
Yeah, because it took no time for somebody to cry for help for like a full mob to just like come in and try to fuck this kid's shit up. But so, yeah, he lives in the basement of the opera. Madame Jiri knows he's there, and she's like kind of his messenger. They never really interact. He does let her see him, though, like while he's moving around the opera house. And yeah, he's a dramatic little son of a bitch with a big props budget. He is covered in candles.
Yeah, we'll talk about the infamous candle layer. It's really, really good, though. Eric's rival, of course, is Rahl, the aforementioned Viscount of Shani. I mean, I don't know if there's much to say about Rahl from Phantom. I think he is, kind of ignorant and doesn't really pay attention to Christine. He is, an insolent boy, according to the Phantom. But, he's just like kind of a nice guy who used to, he and Christine used to be, childhood playmates, basically, like when they were 7. They used to hang out. He calls her Little Lottie. That's like a cute nickname for her. And he's just like kind of a nice rich guy, I guess.
Yeah, he is. He's a little bit of a tool, I'll say. There is a point at which Christine is like, yo, I got a concert, like, in the Phantom District. I can't just leave. He's like, yeah, whatever. I'll have my horses outside in 2 minutes. He also does use Christine as bait. And my favorite scene, the Masquerade, Phantom walks in this, like, tight as hell red outfit with a sword. And the moment Rahl sees that he has a sword, he just leaves.
He dips. He's just like, bye. That man has a sword. I didn't think he was real, but I'm gonna go later, Christine. And like, I thought he was gonna come back with like the cops or something, but I don't think he does.
No, he really doesn't. He reappears somewhere in that scene. But
yeah, like I'm sure it was like a setup, like, oh, he was gonna go get like a weapon or like, a big net to try to catch the Phantom or whatever. But like, he does very much leave Christine alone with this man.
Yeah, it's just Christine, like, standing fully exposed in the middle of this masquerade ball while the Phantom is, like, beguiling her to put down her pride and come back to him as his, like, trainee or whatever, while threatening everyone else in the room. So it's very, like, boy, where are you going?
Yeah.
It's very good. But we could go from here to talk about Madame Jiri, who we've mentioned a couple of times. She is kind of Christine's surrogate mom and Meg's biological mom. She is a ballet instructor at the opera, and she's in charge of the dancers. She is the one most likely to keep trying to tell people that, no, the Phantom is real and you should listen to him because he will fuck your shit up. And she's very much like a mentor character. She's very like appreciative of both Meg and Christine. She's very supportive, which we'll talk about the Love Never Dies interpretation of Madame Jiri, because it is not that at all.
Yeah. Madame Jiri, I think, is a very likable character in the first one. She's very much like, I don't want the Phantom to keep hurting people, but also I am friends with him and I know what he's been through. And I am also I also care about him and his health and well-being. So like I think she's a very interesting character and is deployed well. You know, she is like, hey, Rahl, I know you're going after this guy. Keep your hand at level of your eyes because, you know, he's got this magic lasso, which is a very funny concept. But like, yeah, I really like Madame Jiri, and she gets done absolutely dirty in Love Never Dies. Similarly, her daughter Meg also gets done dirty in Love Never Dies. In Phantom, I don't think Meg is given much to do, unfortunately. You know, but she's just sort of like a little bit of a grounding element. It shows that Christine isn't just completely isolated, which is nice. She does have this one very good friend, like we said, you know, who is like, hey, Christine, there's no such thing as angels that come and give you music lessons.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think not only is she a grounding element, but she's the reason Christine doesn't appear to be like, you know, there's that trope sometimes with these characters that are supposed to be these like innocent kind of like redeemers, that they're isolated and misunderstood, but they're actually like pure of heart or whatever, right? The like kind of Disney princess, like damsel trope almost.
Yeah, no, Meg exists to make sure that, or I don't know that this was intentional, but like it helps so that Christine doesn't fall into the not like other girls category.
Yes. She's a very reliable female friend. I will get into the fact that they are gay. That's text, if you ask me. Wow. Yes. So they're great. I really like Meg. She does disappear in like the second act of the movie for some reason. Like she just has nothing to do in the second act, and then reappears for like a second in the third act, basically to like give the Phantom room to escape, under the tutelage of her mother. And so the last main character is. A Love Never Dies exclusive. It is the son of Christine and Eric the Phantom, Gustav, who
Spoiler alert,
love.
by the way.
Oh yeah.
But yes, Gustav, who is just a sad little emo boy, who wants his father to love him, but his father now sucks, so he's very misunderstood.
Yes, and the thing I love about Gustav is that when the Phantom was like hanging out with him. In his like cool circus lair, I guess, he does call his sense of musicality like dangerous and mystical, I think.
Dangerous and wild, yeah.
Dangerous and wild. He sings in halftones. That's it. That's the dangerous thing about him, is sometimes he'll do a flat note or a sharp. And that's it. He sings.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's buck wild, you know? Just really getting into, like, that kind of ghost-like, floaty, minor scale shit. Dangerous and wild.
I mean, that's how you know. That's how you know that he's the Phantom's son, is because he can't not sing in minor keys.
Yeah. Gustav is wild because the way the, like, opening of Love Never Dies is kind of structured is... for some reason, the way the musical parts are spaced with the spoken parts, like there's no clear transition, it does kind of make it seem like Gustav is singing while everyone is talking in canon. Like he responds in song. It is weird. It's odd, and I'm not sure what to do with it.
It's very strange, yeah. Let's talk real quick about how these characters change in Love Never Dies since we introduced Gustav. You know, basically what happens to, you know, Christine is that after, you know, 10 years after this Phantom incident, she, you know, is still a well-renowned singer, but she hasn't performed since that accident, I don't believe. And, you know, she is in this loveless relationship with Rahl, where he is, you know, become a drunkard and an alcoholic, and he's, you know, a gambler, and he's abusive, and, you know, Rahl won't even play with his kid, and, you know, Christine is kind of, like, sick of him, but, you know, she's talking about how you have to, there's a whole song where she's like, look, love, you can't see love with your eyes, you have to see it with your heart, and it's like, the Gaslighter's anthem, we love it.
Yeah, for real, like, she's like, love can come in, like, unexpected forms. It's like, ma'am, that means, like, maybe someone has trouble expressing their feelings with their words, but they remember your birthday every year, and they're really good at buying a gift. That, I would accept that. You know, that's fine. If you have trouble being affectionate with your words, but you do things with your actions that support the fact that you love that person, okay, whatever. You know, that's for your individual relationship to figure out how that works. Not being mean to your son and saying that his song gives you a headache and for him to shut up and be quiet in a corner somewhere, and then you go get drunk with Mr. Hammerstein or whatever. No. I don't like that. And she does that shit again later when she is dying in the Phantom's arms, and she's like, Gustav, even though I swore to Eric that I wasn't ever going to tell you, fun fact, this guy who last time you saw him showed you his face and you screamed and ran away from him, this is your papa. This is your dad now. And Eric is like, what the fuck are you doing? You promised me you'd never tell him. What the fuck? She's like, well, because you made a shitty, unprompted bet with my husband, you're all he has now.
Yeah, it's really good.
Blood is thicker than water or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the final message that Love Never Dies is that the people that you are biologically related to are the most important, which fucking sucks. Eric's character doesn't change much. He's still like wildly obsessed with Christine.
He gets aged down.
Yeah, I mean, they do thankfully make him younger, which is nice. He's not like a 70-year-old at this point. They definitely shift the timelines around. I made note of it.
Yeah, he's still a creep wizard. And then, like we've said, Meg and Madame Jiri get done so dirty because that mentor figure of Madame Jiri like just goes away. She is now this vindictive, like almost sneaky, like hard, like incredibly. Her and Meg are both really obsessed with the Phantom's approval, which I just don't understand because they didn't fucking do anything. They could have still smuggled the Phantom out as they do in this version of the canon. But they have, like, insane dance credentials. They could have gone to any company in Paris, or if they wanted to get out of France, they could have gone to Russia, which had, like, a very good relationship with France at the time. A lot of crossover there. They could have gone literally anywhere. How did they end up in Coney Island with Meg canonically selling, doing sex work, not consensually, to make ends meet so that the Phantom could buy a circus?
It's so fucking gross. Like, if I wasn't already like hugely disappointed by the musical, that putting that at the very end was like, oh, cool, good, that's awesome, that's a great plot point we want to include in 2010. Andrew, you fucking pervert. Like, it's so gross and so unnecessary. And like, I feel like, you know, they did it is a stretch, right? You have to sort of forget that Meg and Madame Jiri had a good relationship with Christine in the first musical, but like they do establish like, okay, now they're bitter and angry, and they, you know, their only motivation is to get the Phantom's approval and, you know, get rich, or not get rich necessarily, but be successful and make all their hard work pay off. And like now Christine, for some reason, is ruining it because she got double booked with Meg, and Leyla, as you point out, this whole fucking dramatic tension could be resolved so easily by just like asking Christine to hold on for one day.
Literally, guys, listen to me. Producers are important, okay? Producers are very important, and I'm not just saying that because I'm trying to be one. Producers are important. If Eric had a fucking intern, just a production manager, to be like, hey buddy, Eric, Phantom, Mr. Y, sir, Meg's debut is supposed to be on Tuesday, but you also booked Christine. Which one would you rather do it that night, and do you want to boot the other one to Wednesday? That's it. I've solved your conflict, Andrew. An intern with a calendar. That's it. There's literally no, and there's even a point where Christine ends up alone with the Phantom. And this is what pisses me off about this fucking conflict, okay? Fucking listen to me. This is what pisses me off. The scene is as such. Meg, Gustav, Phantom, Christine, all present. We are just out of the only banger in this entire fucking show, which is The Beauty Underneath. Aaron and I both recognize that song's a fucking banger. I love The Beauty Underneath. Eric is like, did you think I wouldn't notice? As in, this is my fucking son. He sings in half tones, and he's
Look how
emo.
sad he is.
That means he's my boy. And Christina's like, Meg, take Gustav. I need some time alone with Mr. Y. Okay, bitch, you have him alone. Great, fantastic. You already got introduced to the fact that Meg is upset because you got double booked. Here's opportunity number 1 to be like, hey, buddy, Eric, whose dick was so good I thought about it for 10 years and sang a 7-minute song about it. Eric, buddy, what's going on? I could stay an extra day so I can watch Meg perform and be a supportive friend and then sing the next day. That'll be cool, right? But instead, Phantom, who threatened Gustav not 10 minutes ago because he thought he was Rahl's son and didn't give a shit about him then, even though he was a child, he was like, hey, now that I know that's my sad boy, you guys are free to go. Free to go. No strings attached. Free to go. You will get your princely sum. You can pay off your debt and raise my son. Just promise you will not tell him I am his father. That could have been the end of the show. Christine, unprompted, picks up the songbook and is like, I promise this music won't go unheard. Bitch, did he ask? I don't think he asked. I think you could have taken the songbook and, what is it, 1915? We are not far away from a fucking recording device. Send him a fucking gramophone. I don't care. Why did you? Whatever. Be like, hey man, I've raised your child in secret and I didn't tell you, even though I probably could have tried to find you, even though I thought you were dead, but apparently it's my fault that I didn't know you weren't. You know, I get it. This is important to you. You wrote this tacky, non sequitur, weird, bland Broadway theme for me. Sure, I'll sing it, but I'll sing it on Wednesday. What is this? And then to make it worse, Phantom was like, you're doing me this favor. You're right, whatever. It could have been chill. It could have been like, hey, you're doing me this favor. I get it, thank you. I'll move back to Tuesday or whatever, it's fine. No, this motherfucker shows up for his bartending shift, because that's what he does, apparently. He tends bar at his own circus. And he's like, hey, Rahl, actually, I decided I do still hate you. What if we make a little bet? That
actually rules is the thing. That's the only good part of the musical is where he's like, I'm going to throw away all of my responsibilities and any good ideas just because I want to fucking dunk on Rahl so bad. That actually kicks ass.
That does, yeah, I do love a petty Eric. I do love pettiness, so that is fun for me.
Just like, I found out that you've been raising my kid for 10 years, idiot.
And you've been mistreating him, you fucking tool. But like they throw away any characterization to like make this like weird nonsense conflict that has no tension. At least the original Phantom, the tension was all these characters had like disparate motivations and the Phantom was doing fucking murders. Bring back the murders.
The only murder was, against Gustav, and like you can't really have him try to kill his own son and then be like, oops, never mind. Like, you don't think the audience is going to remember that, Andrew?
No, he doesn't, because there are definitely parts in this where the audience does not get treated as if they understand musicals.
No, it's ridiculous.
Like treating Love Never Dies like it's this life-changing song when it's quite bland.
Should we... Gosh, we have a lot of talking points, but should we talk about the songs in the musicals since we're here?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about the songs. Let's talk about our personal top 5, because I do want to, we're going to be down it a lot here. Let's talk about the good parts of these musicals, and then we can sort of eviscerate the rest of the songs, because I do have the numbers in our notes. So I'll go with my top 5 for Phantom first. I think the Phantom of the Opera, the title song, is one of the best songs, not even just in musicals, like ever. Like, I think it's just a fucking bop. It's incredible. It has this very fun beat that is very catchy. It's in a minor key. I love a minor key. And it ends with, Christine hitting this, I think it's an A, right? Is it an A or an E? This like super, super high note. That I think rules, and I'm so excited every time an actress does that. It kicks ass.
Yeah, Christine's hit such insane fucking notes in Phantom that every time there's a Broadway production of it, she has to be double cast and the actresses have to go off every other day.
I noticed that when I was reading the Wikipedia, I was like, man, this was actually just like such a hugely taxing role, which we can have a conversation about whether or not that's a good thing to do, is to put your performers through it. But I think if you're double casting, I think that's probably fine. If you give your actress some rest, good. Great. Second for me is Point of No Return. I think it's super, super sexy, especially in the O4 when we have, by the way, Emmy Rossum from Shameless plays Christine Daae in the O4, which is wild. Gerard Butler of 300 fame playing the Phantom. So we have these two, pretty attractive people, smoldering at each other. There's lots of, allusions to hell, and I mean he's playing Don Juan, the famous Lothario, right? I think it's a sexy song, and it also talks about it's like literally the bridge is crossed, so stand and watch it burn. Like we're past the point of no return. Like that slaps. Incredible. Masquerade. Not only is Masquerade a great way to kick off your second act, avoiding one of the very big downfalls I think a lot of musicals have, including, I bring this up a lot, but I think Wicked does this thing where like its climax is at the end of Act 1 with Defying Gravity, and then the rest of the musical is a downhill slope because nothing is as good as Defying Gravity in that musical. I think Masquerade gets around that problem by being a really good song, by being a huge ensemble number with these incredible costumes, and everybody's got these masks. Also, just like from a personal note, Sierra had her Sweet 16 as a Masquerade like party in it, and like we all made masks, and that was really fun. So like that song will ever be forever tied with that memory in my mind. Like her mom rented out part of a theater. It was really cool. So just personally, I love Masquerade. Sierra, I remember Sierra was in a local production of Phantom of the Opera. I remember going and seeing her there, and seeing her in her Masquerade mask. It was really fun and cool. 4 is Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again. It gives Christine a lot of characterization. She's in this goth ass graveyard where she's just like, crying at her father's tomb and talking about how alone she is. And I think that's really important. She's like, why can't the past just die? She is constantly haunted by the fact that, her dad is gone and left her alone. And we could talk about the fact that she's not really alone. She has the Jiris, she has all the rest of her dancing friends. She's probably fine, but I do like that brief moment of just focusing on Christine's characterization, and not necessarily a love triangle. And then Think of Me Fondly, which takes place in a musical about Hannibal. I love Hannibal Barca. But like, again, I saw Sierra, this was when we were both very young. We were only allowed to see each other once a week. So this was very much like a romantic, like, think of me when we're apart song. And I just have a lot of fond memories of that. So, it's, not to get too mushy on this podcast, but, Phantom is very closely tied up with my relationship with Sierra. So this is a very important musical to me.
No, that's very sweet. Honestly, so audience, just to kind of give you a peek behind the curtain. A lot of fourth wall breaking in this episode. Yeah. Whatever. Just to give you guys a peek behind the curtain. So every week when we watch or listen to or do whatever, consume the media that we're meant to consume for that week's episode, we take notes, and then we read each other's notes and comment on them before we put together the outline, or Aaron puts together the outline usually. And then I make edits to it. But I have never wanted to watch a movie with two people more than I want to watch Phantom with Aaron and Sierra, because this week I got a lot of like insight in quotes from Sierra, who I'm also like very friendly with. Like I love her to death. She's fantastic. A fantastic little Aries. I love that. We love a Scorpio Aries pairing. So but yeah, it's just like so nice to like read her thoughts on it too, because I know you guys watch a lot of this stuff together. So yeah, I feel like
when we do have our big house party in Ohio, that'll be our after party. Is just we'll all be like kind of hungover and watching the O4 Phantom together.
I do demand that we make masks.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, great. Can't wait. So yeah, my top 5 I think is not dissimilar. I think the Phantom of the Opera is a fucking iconic banger. That organ opening, like that's the thing is Love Never Dies. Yeah, there it is. Love Never Dies. I mean, it can't open with the Phantom theme, right? Because it's not Phantom. It's Love Never Dies. Like, how do you top that intro? You can't. So it's so good. I love Phantom of the Opera. I also I do always love a good ensemble number, so I do love the prima donna number. I'm a Carlotta stan. I think Carlotta was done wrong. And notes / prima donna is this like very funny number where like everyone gets a note from the Phantom. Everybody thinks somebody else in the group wrote the note from the Phantom because they don't believe the Phantom is real. And everybody storms, and it's really funny because they're storming in with these notes, and Carlotta's like pointing at Rahl. Now I'm pronouncing it like Christine.
Yeah, I know. Emmy Rossum got to us. Rahl.
Rahl. She's like pointing at Rahl. She's like, you wrote this note. And Rahl is this like I hate to use the term. He's like this soy boy. You know what I mean? Like, really floppy.
Yes, finally. The podcast takes the right-wing turn we always knew it would.
So she's pointing at him with this letter that has this like giant aggressive wax seal red skull on the back. I'm like, baby, that's not his aesthetic. What are you doing?
Yeah, like, are you kidding me?
But it's the theater owners begging Carlotta to come back, and it's just like this really fun round. And I'm a weak bitch for a round. I love a round. Then I agree with you. Also, Masquerade, banger. Paper Faces on Parade, baby. Masquerade. And also then like Phantom coming in that red outfit with the sword at the end. Mwah! Chef's
so
kiss,
cool.
Beautiful. Love that. Point of No Return. Also agree. Super sexy. Very sexy. Very into it. It's good shit, and I'm there for it. And then a fifth one. I wish I could say Think of Me. I like Think of Me, but I don't love Think of Me.
That's fair, yeah.
I think Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again. I just like that song melodically more in terms of the slower ones. And I also think it's good character work for Christine. I think my favorite lyric, just as a bonus to my top 5, I think my favorite lyric in all of Phantom is Silently the Senses Abandon Their Defenses. Like, also very sexy, Phantom. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, I've criticized a lot of the lyrics and a lot of Andrew Lloyd Webber's musicals. See the Bible Boys episodes on Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, because that musical is just a disaster. But like, yeah, I think there are some really bangers of a line. Like, I don't love Music of the Night that much, but like, there is some pretty good music, like lyrical work here.
Yeah, there are a couple of great lines. So what's your top 5 for L&D?
Okay, the problem with Love Never Dies is that there's only 2 good songs in it.
I think we agree on what they are.
Beauty Underneath is the best song in the musical, and it almost justifies its existence. It is very good. It's very intense. You know, it is such a big break from the rather bland, melodies of the rest of the musical. Surprisingly, or not maybe surprisingly, but I think I have a weird one for my second, which is Devil Take the Hindmost reprise. Because
yes, with Gustav vocalizing in the back?
Yes, because of Gustav's cool, like, ooh, 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 ooh. I think that's great. I love that shit. That little emo boy just sort of making a sad whistle. And then, we have Jiri and Rahl and Eric all singing their like, inner monologue, like, oh no, what's going to happen here?
And again, a bitch is weak for a round.
Yep, it's a good round. Third is Devil Take the Hindmost, where just Eric and Rahl just snipe at each other for 4 minutes. And in the Melbourne production, at the very end, Eric grabs Rahl by the throat and like slams him against the bar, and they just like sort of singing at each other like that for a couple seconds.
And it is, let me tell you, very sexy.
All right.
I gotta see where I can get it with this fucking.
Wow, we're already devolving.
You wait.
Oh god, we're not even halfway done, folks. And then like those are the only 3 good songs in my opinion. I think the Dear Old Friend song is okay because it does sort of set up like I like how they're like singing at each other, the Jiris and the whatever Rahl's last name is, the
Viscount Deshani.
Yeah, but like that's not their last name. He's not like Rahl Deshani, is he?
He is now.
I guess so, yeah. Whatever.
I would agree with all of those. I really like Dear Old Friend. I also really love both The Devil Take the Hindmost. I do think The Reprise is better because of Gustav's little vocalizing, which you performed so beautifully for us.
Thank you.
Listen, I don't have any like scathing reviews for any song in Phantom. I think they are all at least fine, right?
Yes.
So like, some of them are just meant to get you from point A to point B. That's fine. I don't care. You know, it's whatever.
They're perfectly workable.
But yes, fine. I do need to shit on one song in Love Never Dies.
Is it Love Never Dies?
No.
Oh, what is it?
I think Love Never Dies is fine.
Okay.
I think it's Beneath the Moonless Sky.
Okay, yeah, and listeners, you'll remember we already did this 50 episodes ago, but we're going to do it again.
And we're going to do it again and then again. Beneath the Moonless Sky. I have never in my life wanted two characters to just fuck on stage and stop singing like I do during Beneath the Moonless Sky. Listeners, not for sexy reasons. Not for sexy reasons. Just because I'm tired of Christine and the Phantom standing there being like, hey man, 10 years ago we fucked. And I've been thinking about it every day since because I guess you have a magic lasso and a magic dick.
It's so long. It is 7 minutes long, and then it's followed up by Once Upon Another Time, which is like another 5-6 minute song about how much they still want to fuck each other.
Here's the fucking thing, though. It's not a 7-minute song. It's 2 songs. It's 2 songs. Listen, that scene goes on for fucking ever. I define that scene as the moment Rahl walks out the door to the moment that Phantom leaves, right? So, like, to me, that is that scene. 5 songs! And none of them move the plot forward.
It's so slow. The pacing just absolutely drags. Act 1 seems like it takes forever, and like, it is so, and you'd think that this man who's written, you know, like 24 fucking musicals at this point would know how to end an act. Like Beauty Underneath, if you had made Beauty Underneath the last song in Act 1, like, okay, fine, that's a good way to end it. But no, then it comes with Phantom Confronts Christine, which is just like, kind of like, hey, anyway, all this stuff that we've been very heavily hinting at the whole time, we're going to say it out loud now, just so you know, in a not especially good song. But we did spend, you know, roughly 20 minutes of this musical's runtime just talking about how good that ghostly dick was. It's just like, I can't with you, Andrew.
And that's a theme that comes back. That is not the first time they talk about the Phantom's good dick. And also, by the way, Phantom Confronts Christine is the song I was talking about earlier when Christine unprompted takes the songbook and is like, your music won't go unheard. The other thing I need to talk about is that during Phantom Confronts Christine, Madame Jiri pops up out of a cone. And she's just like, I see. It's your son. And now we must compete with your son's legacy, which doesn't make any fucking sense, but okay, whatever. Why is the refrain from Beneath the Moonless Sky start playing? Did Madame Jiri fuck Eric?
Yeah, was this a weird menage a trois? Like, I don't know.
Because that's the sex song.
That is the horny song.
So why did Madame Jiri's solo end in the orchestration from Beneath the Moonless Sky?
I think just Andrew was just like, I need to put something here.
Did she touch him and she held him?
Don't do this.
I know a stupid amount of words from that song just because of how long it is.
I mean, they repeat a lot of them, so...
Very repetitive. Listeners, if you're feeling particularly masochistic, please do go look up the video, because it is... it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there's just, like we were alluding to, like, the Love Never Dies song, which is supposed to be, like, the grand aria that Christine sings, affirming her love for Eric. It's just underwhelming. You know, it's a fine song, but I don't think it should be the crux around which this musical, you know, orbits, and they named the musical after it, and it's not very good, unfortunately. It's hugely disappointing.
The musical's like musical crux, right? So like watching these back to back was really, really interesting, because the jarring thing about the Love Never Dies music is the addition of an electric guitar. Yeah,
I kind of love that.
Yeah, I mean, it does. Listen, in our favorite song, Beauty Underneath, it does fuck.
Yeah, it kicks ass.
But it is jarring. But the funny thing is like, it doesn't, like, Love Never Dies is just, like, the most generic Broadway ballad.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that's, you know, not keeping with the characters, right? Like, the reason that Beauty Underneath has all these, like, electric synth music in it is because, you know, the Phantom is supposed to be, like, very futuristic and ahead of his time. Like, that's why he's writing all these wild, you know, experimental operas in the first musical, because he's, like, a genius, allegedly, right? He's predicting the rise of rock music, and, like, but it's like, no, but for the person that I love the most, I'm going to give the most basic-ass aria to. It's just like, come on, Andrew, you can do better.
Yeah, and it is implied that he's, like, worked on it for 10 years or some shit, you know? It's, like, his, like, big, unheard... Also, okay, I do have to ask you this. Aaron, you and I enjoy experiences, right? We like to leave our homes and do things occasionally.
I mean, this podcast suggests that maybe we don't love to enjoy experiences, but we do have them.
We do have them, yes. You're... Listen, we ran around Pittsburgh.
Yes, we did. It was fun. We had a good time.
We did do things. If you bought tickets to a circus, were presented with an aria, how would that make you feel?
I would be extremely confused. I'd be like, so when's the elephants? Like, this lady is a great singer and all, but it doesn't really fit in with your, you know, phantoms and automatons for my delectation. Like, I'm not sure what's happening here.
Yeah. So,
it makes no goddamn sense.
It makes no goddamn sense. And the other thing I wish to interrogate you on is, speaking of phantoms and automatons, do you remember the horseless carriage that his 3, like, goons came in?
Yes, yeah, at the beginning, that's where that picks them up and, like, they get transported to his, you know, phantasmagoria or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. When we say horseless carriage, I do mean like, just like a carriage without a horse. Hey, is he magic?
I mean, it's kind of implied that he is, right? Like, you know, there's that gross bit where they, you know, imply that he's descended from Romani, but like in the original book, right, it talks about how he studied under, you know, various Eastern, you know, people, and he built like palaces and labyrinths for, you know, Asian kings and stuff. Like, it is kind of, you know, implied that he is magical in that way that, like, Western Europeans back in the 19th century think that everything from Asia is magical, right? And, like, he retains that kind of superpower throughout this series of musicals, which is very strange. Like, you know, you're like, oh yeah, he's, you know, he can create this horseless carriage, you know, when it's really just like, you know, we could say that he invented like fucking automated driving and ever, but like it's essentially magic, right?
Like, okay, yeah. So that's just like a fun thing in the universe that
I think he's magic. Yeah, like I think he's canonically magical. Like,
he's a wizard. It's
he is just kind of a wizard, and that's fine.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's whatever.
Okay, we've talked about the music. Now let's talk about everything else. So Leyla, can you tell me about your history with both of these musicals? Like, when did you first see them? Because like I said earlier, you know, I first saw Phantom with Sierra, you know, and we watched, like, there was the Melbourne production was actually like on our local theater. Like, I had to go and buy like special tickets to watch it. And like, it was an interesting time. But like, yeah, like, when did you first hear Phantom music?
I definitely saw the 2004 movie like right around 2004.
Nice.
And I liked it. It was fine to me back then. It didn't really stand out to me in any big way. And then I saw it live when I went on a trip with our high school orchestra in New York. That was really fun. And I think like seeing that chandelier go up live really kind of changes your impression of Phantom. Because it's just so... I would love to get orchestra seats to go see it, you know, and have that thing go up over your head.
Oh, so you saw Phantom on Broadway?
Yes.
That's so cool. Yeah, because that changes everything, right? If you're actually like in the audience when that big prop comes up and then comes down later, like that kicks ass.
Yes. And like I want to be in an orchestra seat at one point when that happens, because I was up in the balcony and like still like that chandelier prop is huge. No matter what, like, any competent fandom production will spend exorbitant amounts of money on that fucking chandelier. And then I did watch the 25th anniversary filming of it that was on Netflix. I'm not sure if it's still on Netflix, but it is. It stars Raman Karnloo, who is an Iranian actor, which I think is really cool, as the Phantom. So I've seen a couple of different versions of Phantom, and then I've now seen the Melbourne production of Love Never Dies twice.
Great. Good. We've made reference to this before, but it really struck me in your notes how odd you found the filmmaking choices in the '04 Phantom. I was wondering if you could explain it to me, because, like, I don't have the same kind of film understanding, like, background. I didn't study film like you did. Like, I thought it was just kind of cool. I mean, I think it's fucking weird. I think there's some weird cuts in it, but I think it's a fine movie. But yeah, what are your gripes with it?
Right, so it's fine. You know, everyone always shits on this movie. I think it's fine. It's fine. It's completely passable. It's a fine movie. There are two things about it that stand out to me. One is that Andrew Lloyd Webber famously is a control freak. So in the making of this film, and I think the Lindsay Ellis video essay on this points this out, he was insistent that it matches the stage production as accurately as possible. So, like, yes, it is cool that those candelabras come up from underneath the water in the scene where he takes Christine to his lair, but the reason that happens on stage is to simulate them going deeper underground. They're not actually coming up out of the water. It's a simulation, because they have a limited amount of vertical space to show them going underground.
Because they're on a stage. But in the movie, there's just this lake that they're sailing into, and then just, like, literally hundreds of candles are coming up out of the water and then igniting on their own. And it's just, like, so funny because, one, it's just wild to see these candles just, like, turn on after being doused in water. And the second is just, like, this whole scene is that famous drill tweet about my family has died, because his fucking candle budget is off the shits, and it's awesome.
I mean, like, okay, so I don't know if you guys know or remember this, or Aaron, if you remember this, but, like, in 2000 and I'm going to say 7, there was, like, a huge blizzard out, an October storm out here in Buffalo, and everyone's power was out for like 2 weeks. We went and stayed with our auntie and uncle, and we lit candles all night to have light. You know, my brother was very young at the time, and we needed light at night. I woke up every day with soot under my nose, because you're just inhaling soot all night. That's why your ass is dry and ugly, Eric. Stop bathing yourself in soot all fucking night.
It can't be good for you, man. Your lungs are probably shot.
Shot completely, absolutely. Well, how are you? No wonder you need Christine to sing, you dumbass. So that was kind of my first thing. Is, like, it's trying too hard to be the stage production when it needs to be an adaptation of the stage production. And the second point of beef, which is related to that point, is if you're going to do an adaptation of Phantom, and you're going to do it in a different format that isn't a stage musical, right? You need to be using the tools of that format in order to convey the point of the story you're trying to tell. So if you're going to do a melodramatic movie based on Phantom of the Opera, so that's an important distinction to draw when you're talking about adaptations, no matter if it's book to movie, stage to movie, whatever. You are doing an adaptation based on that thing. You're not just transposing. There is no, like, it just all looks like it's shot with a fill light. There's really no... The first time I see an example of cinematic lighting is halfway through Act 1 when Meg goes into Christine's dressing room to go find her after the Phantom takes her downstairs. There's just, like, too many Dutch angles for some reason. Like, the camera's always tilted when it doesn't need to be. But there's no, like, if you're gonna do melodrama, like, do melodrama, you know, like, use a lighting setup, get me some edge lights or something. So it's just, like, it's weird because it so desperately wants to be a filming of the stage production rather than a movie. And that's what, like, again, it's passable. It's fine, you know? But, like, it's not, I would love to see, like, go full art house. I want to see, like, an A24 Phantom of the Opera, where it's just like no one is trying to simulate realistic lighting, like you're just going for mood, I would kill for it.
Speaking of mood, I want to talk about the things that I think distinguish Phantom from Love Never Dies. We talked a lot about how the songs are vastly different, but I think, just comparing, it's hard to compare a movie to a stage show, but we're going to do it anyway. Like, I think there's so much more character in Phantom of the Opera than in Love Never Dies. I think, and not just, narratively, but just like aesthetically, like in the ways that the characters are or portrayed. Like, we talked about the quadrillion candles in his maze. Like, that's so fun. And I don't think we get anything similar. I mean, we get a ton of candles in a couple of scenes. We get the big, stupid Christine portrait, but we very rarely see any things that really give us a hint of how extra and weird Eric is. But like in this one, we get the big fuck off skull seal. We get his cool Red Death outfit. He has these little diorama. He has this diorama of the dolls in the theater, and like he'll like swap their heads around when he's talking about like changing who's playing various parts. I think that's so fun. I think, there's no, Love Never Dies doesn't have a chandelier drop moment, right? There's nothing even comparable to that. There's not just a big thing that's like, holy shit, I can't believe they just did that. Like, I just wish there was something in L&D that has that level of character. And like, I think those are the things that make Phantom iconic. Like, there's so much actual, richness to the ways that these characters are portrayed, and you get this kind of idea of what they're like. And I think they're so interesting.
Yeah, I think the closest Love Never Dies gets is The Beauty Underneath, right? Because it's like the big light show. But the thing about it is like, it's a cool set, but nothing happens. So I totally agree with you that like, it just doesn't have... It doesn't have the melodrama, the bombast, which is like, if you strip Phantom down to just its story, like, I don't really think it's anything particularly special, right? It's just a story of obsession, but putting it in that opera setting and like dropping that chandelier, like, that's the spectacle.
Absolutely. So in our notes, you did mention that you think that the Phantom universe operates on video game logic, and I was wondering if you could explain that.
Yeah, sure. So, okay, Here's what I love about Phantom of the Opera. It does operate on video game logic, which is to say that, like, nothing is as consequential as it would be in the real world to allow for, like, escalation, right? Dramatic escalation. And that is also kind of theater logic, but just the way that, like, Christine interacts with the world is very, like, main character in a video game, right? So, like, wherever she goes, everybody story dumps on her. You have your, like, expositional moments. You have your different levels, right? You have the main theater level. You have the dungeon level. You have Rahl goes through a water level at one point.
That's one way to put it.
There's the graveyard level, where the inside of the tomb is lit red, and as John Wolfe said, red means scary. And the entire time I was watching this, I was texting with Marty, heartforge@tumblr.com. They're an indie game developer. Yeah, gotta plug. And we were talking about how this would work great as a visual novel, like a Roth, where you could, like, have different romance options if Eric wasn't, like, her dad's age.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe some people in visual novels like that nasty shit, though, so we'll see.
I mean, like, even, age him down even 10 years.
10
age
years.
her up. Age her up into her 20s.
5, yeah, like, just come on. Can't be 16. Come on, Andrew.
Icky. So that might not have been Andrew. That might have been the original.
Yeah, that's fair. Here's the thing that I've been thinking about ever since we watched these, and we've been talking about this this web of Rahl, Christine, Eric, right? We've talked about it in a lot of our media, especially actually anime, video games, but like, are love triangles bad, or are they the only way that male-dominated media allows women any agency?
Well, I don't even think a lot of love triangles allow women agency.
That is fair.
Because, I mean, like, I don't know how many love triangles you've consumed, but a lot of them haven't involved, like, an obvious choice. You know what I mean?
Okay, who do you think the obvious choice in Phantom is?
Rahl, who doesn't do any murders.
That's a well-made argument.
And also, Christine is not terrified of him.
That's a good point you bring up. Well, I guess I was thinking of, like, you know, the Hunger Games is what I was thinking of, because I think that's an example of a love triangle done, like, pretty good. You know, we get Katniss, we get Peeta, and we get Gale, I think.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, she does have, like, a difficult choice because one's her childhood friend and one's the man who went through a lot of trauma with her. And it does, you know, I guess also the Hunger Games is a bad example because Katniss already has a lot of agency outside of the love triangle.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's the first example that comes to my mind if you're talking about a love triangle where, like, you can't guess, right? Mm-hmm. Because, like, I genuinely, there were points when reading those books, I was like, I don't really know which one she's going to end up with, you know?
Yeah.
But there's also, like, you know, Twilight's the famous one. Mm-hmm. And y'all, Team Jacob, I love you, but, like, Jacob was never any real competition.
Yeah, sorry, y'all.
So... And, you know, we are going to watch those movies on this program. That is going to happen.
I pray will not happen every single night as I go to sleep, even though I know, like Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, I pray, please take this cup away from me. And when I look into the cup, it's just full of Breaking Dawns.
And yet, it's not the worst movie I'm going to make you watch this year.
Christ on a bike.
So...
Death Note looms over my shoulder.
I'm so glad I don't even have to bring it up anymore.
The Shinigami's just watching me, mocking me.
Yeah, Ryuk is just watching over you as you sleep and pray for not having to take in Breaking Dawn. Yeah, but I watched there's a very interesting YouTube video by a creator named Julia Cudney, and she talks about love triangles. And I think that it really is in the execution of the love triangle, right? Because you can't really call it a love triangle if the affection doesn't go both ways in both legs of the triangle. Which in this it doesn't, right? Because as soon as Christine realizes that the Phantom is like a danger to her, she has no real affection for him. She has only affection for Rahl. Like, they keep wanting to run away together. So it's not really a love triangle, but I do think that they can be very lazy. Mm-hmm. So when they're lazy, they're bad.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's a good assessment of the situation. You know, I just, you know, you'd think we would have kind of got over this problem of women characters, like, just kind of being objects. And, like, I keep trying to see, like, in this framing of a love triangle, this common trope, like, is there some way that allows women a choice, right? That allows someone to be like, okay, yeah, of course, I'm in control of these situations. I'm in control of my relationships. You know, I am able to choose. I'm a character with agency. But yeah, I mean, now that you bring it up, it is hard to think about, you know, stories in which that is actually a genuine choice. You know, unfortunately, Phantom included.
Yeah, and even in Love Never Dies, right? When Eric is not a murderer and gets aged down a little bit.
Yeah, and Rahl becomes a fucking abuser.
Yeah, like, what choice is there? Obviously, this version of Phantom, who is the father of your child, is the superior option, because the other option is a loveless marriage with a gambler.
Rahl.
It's like it's the second funniest pronunciation of a name I've ever heard. The first funniest pronunciation of a name is in the original Broadway cast recording of the Anastasia musical, when Derek Klena as Dmitri insists on calling Vlad, which is very funny because what he's trying to do is put a Russian accent on the word Vlad, but the problem with that being there is no such thing as Vlad in Russian. The shortened form of Vladimir is Vova. It's not Vlad.
Yeah.
We don't have Vlads.
It's not a thing. Okay, great.
So it's just very funny for him to be Dmitri. Vlad. Nope.
No.
Nope.
Hire some Russian localizers, please.
Yeah, so Rahl is my second favorite in the
It's really good. It happens in both productions. It's great.
It's so stupid.
Leyla, we have come to our favorite recurring segment on Mortified, the Mortified Marketing Minute.
I want you to know I am working on getting us a musical sting.
Okay, excellent. I am eagerly awaiting that MP3. But in the meantime, we have each come up with an idea of how to market a new repackaged version of the Phantom of the Opera / Love Never Dies. Leyla, do you want to go with yours first?
No, actually, I want to hear about your Phantom Les Miserables crossover.
Great. Okay. So, as you all know, the Phantom of the Opera takes place in the city of Paris, where another very famous musical, Les Miserables, takes place. I think in this era of media crossovers and big corporations just throwing their IPs together and being like, do you like this? I think a great way to introduce a new generation of people to some of the most iconic musicals in the English canon is to do a Les Mis sequel that is also a Phantom prequel. I do not know how this would turn out. I think it's probably that Cosette and Marius' son turns out to be Eric, right? And like we kind of see how he grows up, and we see Cosette trying to be very loving, and Marius being kind of an idiot child because he is not very smart. And I think that it would be very, very fun just to see Eric and Madame Jiri grow up and have to deal with fucking I don't know, I guess Javert's niece or some shit, just hounding him over the city and being like, haha, I will catch you the devil child. My uncle swore to hunt you down, and now I will finally have revenge. And I think that would be extremely funny.
Do you know what's excellent about that idea? 2 points for you to consider for this beautiful crossover. Mm-hmm. One, it's that there is, as I was listening to you talk, there is a beautiful little musical fit, which is that the Phantom of the Opera theme does fit with the 24601 thing a little bit, in the sense that you can go
24601
24601
fucking shit.
So that is a thing you can use.
I'm exhuming Victor Hugo as we speak. We have to make this a thing.
So, just so you know, and the other thing I want to propose to you is, if we are connecting French things,
of course, as we do,
does that mean there's a world in which we could market Les Mis by making a combined prequel of Les Mis and combined sequel to Beauty and the Beast?
Oh boy. Okay.
No. Hold on. Hunchback.
That's So Hunchback comes before Les Mis, is what you're saying?
Hunchback comes before Les Mis, and if we do imply that Quasimodo did fuck someone, Eric could be a descendant of Quasimodo.
Yes, okay, so Eric is descendant of Quasimodo, who is Quasimodo, I think, is probably Valjean's dad, because they're both super strong,
yes,
and have a kind heart and are Catholic. And I think that, okay. I guess Javert is a descendant of Judge Claude Frollo, I guess.
I fucking guess, dude.
I hate that timeline. I don't know who allowed Frollo to, give them a child, but I guess, yeah.
Maybe he's like a great nephew,
Yeah. It's, he had his title got passed on to some rando. God. I love this French musical cinematic universe we're building, because
FMCU.
Yeah, where eventually we could have fucking the Beast from Beauty and the Beast show up at the end of Phantom and be like, "I'm here to recruit you, Eric. I'm building a team."
The Beast would need to be wearing an eye patch in this situation.
Of course, yeah, because it's a gritty reboot.
Yeah, I would demand it. That is almost as good as the tweet somebody made where they were talking about Cruella, and they were like, y'all are shitting on Cruella, until at the end of it, Maleficent shows up and is like, I'm starting a team, and you get a Kingdom Hearts movie.
Have you ever heard of the Kingdom Hearts initiative? Oh my God, I'm literally
By the
getting
way,
chills.
Disney, I would watch the shit out of that.
Disney, we keep telling you, hire us. These are incredible ideas. You
We
own
will
everything
steal-
already.
We will steal the idea of that tweet and we will make it manifest.
Oh, Layla, do you want to talk about the good universe where Phantom of the Opera is actually lesbians?
Yeah, okay, so I have to give credit to Marty for this also because this was a collaborative effort last night as I was drinking my whiskey milkshake. So here's the revamped story of the Phantom of the Opera that I would like to make into a video game that I think would be excellent. Again, thank you, Marty. Really workshopped this with me. So fuck Rahl. Rahl no longer exists, right? In this universe. Or if he does exist, he's not romantically relevant. You know what I mean? There's an option. There's an option for Rahl, and I will get to him. But the main point here is that our prima donna, lady of the stage, Carlotta, suffers a tragic accident and fakes her own death and shuns herself to become the Phantom of the Opera. Because she is both vain enough to have like even a minor burn be cause for like an absolute meltdown, but also has cause for when Christine takes her place to have motivation to want to fix her singing.
Okay.
And then Christine's other romantic option in this is Meg, who's already incredibly gay for her. See sources, the gay chin touch in the hallway in Phantom, and also the way they hold their hands while they sing at each other
in
during
L&D,
Zero Friend.
of course.
Quite gay. And also the way Meg gets really excited when Christine's coming back. She's like, Christine? Like, all right, hold it in. So that is kind of like the main plot. I think that would be relevant. Marty came in hot with Christine would be like, Meg would be like, hey, maybe you should stay away from the soprano in the sewers that hates you. And Christine would be like, I could fix her. And then all you hear is Carlotta shouting from the sewers, not before I fix your singing, bitch! That's my contribution to that. And then if we did want to have the actual Phantom and Rahl in this, I do think they would have to be kind of like side romantic interests, because I do think they have a lot of unresolved sexual tension. See the sword fight, see the choking on the bar. Another Galaxy Brain Marty take was that Carlotta and Phantom do not know that the other one exists, and they just are both kind of pranking the theater, and Madame Jiri is just trying to figure out which one's which and what the fuck is going on the whole time, until at the end really it's good. Like Carlotta and Phantom are in the opposite, like, boxes in the theater, and they're just pointing at each other like the Spider-Man meme.
I like the idea of them both, like, trying to execute Rahl and Meg, but, like, they're in the same part of the sewer, and they're like, wait, hold on, shit. Like, I booked the Great. Did you not? I had this room scheduled. Like, I had the noose ready and everything. Like, can you just give me like 30 minutes? Like, no, I'm kind of in the middle of an execution. Also, can you just?
Well, my favorite part about like if they don't know the other one exists is like Phantom sends a bunch of threatening notes and Meg is like, dude, you need to tell Carlotta, shut the fuck up. Like, what is happening? And Christine could be like, this is not Carlotta. Like, what is going? So you have to simultaneously clear Carlotta's name, but also figure out what the fuck is going on with the Phantom. Listen, it would be great. Let us make this video game. I think I would have a lot of fun. I could make Rahl into a very endearing side character, and it would be a great time.
Let Rahl just be kind of a useless himbo. Like, I think that is the best incarnation.
I love a man who sees a sword and flees.
That's my kind of guy.
That's what he does. He leaves his tiny girlfriend completely exposed, and he flees.
Listen, he has a lot of money, but you know what money can't buy is new lungs.
Oh yeah, not in that time period.
All right, Layla, when we are not rehashing, revamping, and honestly creating the best musical cinematic universes that this or any timeline has ever seen, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at LEYLSES on Twitter and Tumblr. I write essays every month. I'm not quite sure what I'm writing about this month. I'll figure it out. Aaron, where can people find you? Wow, where can people find you? Where can people find you, Aaron?
You can find me on the internet at AaronSXL. I also publish essays and stories under the name Aaron Voigt. You can also listen to the other podcasts I do at The Bible Boys. We're probably going to do an episode on one of the History Channel's Battles BC episodes about the great warrior Joshua in the Bible, which at some point, which I think will be very fun. Our theme song is Obsolete by Keshko from the album Filmmakers Reference Kit Volume 2. You can find more of their music at keshko.bandcamp.com. Leyla, it's time to bring the curtain down. Take us away.
If my diva commands.
Yes, I do.